अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज जो हमारा सब्जेक्ट है वो है पॉलिटिकल साइंस, पेपर वन पीएमएस। तो ये पार्ट वन और टू 200 मार्क्स के ये दो पेपर होंगे। तो इन सब का पूरा सिलेबस जो है ना हम डिस्कस करेंगे। ये सीरीज़ स्टार्ट की है। तो पार्ट पेपर वन का पार्ट ए है पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी। पॉलिटिकल थ्योरीज में हम डिस्कस करेंगे बेसिकली वेस्टर्न एंड मुस्लिम philosophers, Western and Muslim political thoughts. Western political thought has its roots in ancient Greece, where philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle developed theories of justice, democracy, and ideal state. In the Middle Ages, Christian theologians such as Saint Augustine and Saint Thomas Aquinas incorporated religious beliefs into their political theories. In the modern era, thinkers such as Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau developed theories of the social contract, natural rights, and popular sovereignty, which influenced the development of liberal democracy and constitutionalism. Muslim political thought has its roots in Islamic philosophy and jurisprudence and has developed over several centuries. Early Muslim philosophers such as Al-Farabi and Ibn Rushd Averroes developed theories of the ideal state and the role of the ruler. Islamic, Islamic jurists such as Al-Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah developed theories of governance and Islamic law which influenced the development of the Sharia-based legal system in Muslim societies. One of the key differences between Western and Muslim political thought is the role of religion in political discourse. While Western political thought has largely been secularized in the modern era, Muslim political thought continues to draw on Islamic principles and beliefs in its analysis of political phenomena. This has led to debates about the compatibility of Islamic political thought with modern liberal democracy and constitutionalism. So, overall, the study of political thought provides a rich and diverse perspective on political phenomena and highlights the importance of historical and cultural context in shaping political ideologies and institutions. So first one is the Western political thought. Western political thought refers to the intellectual tradition of political philosophies and theory that has developed in the Western world, primarily in Europe and North America. Over the course of more than two millennia, Western political thought includes the works of many prominent philosophers and political theorists such as Plato, Aristotle, Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Immanuel Kant, Friedrich Nietzsche, and John Stuart Mill, among many others. The ideas and theories developed by Western political thinkers have had a significant impact on the development of Western political institutions and practices, including democracy, constitutionalism, liberalism, socialism, and conservatism. Western political thought has also influenced political systems and movements around the world. The study of Western political thoughts involves the examination and analysis of the key concepts, ideas, and debates that have shaped political philosophy and theory in the Western world. These include questions about the nature of the state and the role of the government in society, the relationship between the individual and the community, the meaning and significance of the justice and rights, and the sources of political power and legitimacy. Second, uh, one first one in the Western political thoughts on the top of the list is Plato. Plato was a Greek philosopher who lived from 428 BCE to 348 BC. He is considered one of the most important figures in Western philosophy, and his ideas have had a significant impact on the development of political theory. Plato's political thought is primarily presented in his work Republic and Laws in Republic. Plato creates an ideal society governed by the philosopher kings who possess possess wisdom and knowledge. This society is based on the principle of justice, and Plato argues that a just society is one in which each person performs their role in society according to their abilities and talents. In this way, the society is harmonious and all members are happy. Plato believed that the key to a just society was education, and he proposed a rigorous education system that would train future philosopher kings. This education system would emphasize mathematics, science, and philosophy and would be designed to produce individuals who were capable of governing justly. Plato also believed in the concept of the noble lie, which is a falsehood told by the ruling class to maintain social order and stability. According to Plato, the noble lie is necessary because most people are unable to understand the complex philosophical ideas that underpin society. In laws, Plato presents a more practical approach to politics. He argues that the best form of government is a mixed government in which elements of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy are combined. He also emphasizes the importance of the rule of law and argues that laws should be based on the reason rather than on the whims of rulers. Overall, Plato's political thought is characterized by a belief in the importance of justice, education, and the rule of law. His ideas have had a significant impact on Western political thought, and his concept of ideal society continues to be studied and debated today. The second most prominent figure in the Western political thoughts is Aristotle. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher who also lived from 384 to 322 BC. He was a student of Plato and went on to become a teacher to Alexander the Great. Aristotle is one of the most influential thinkers in Western philosophy, and his ideas on politics have had a profound impact on political theory. Aristotle's political thought is primarily presented in his work Politics. In this work, Aristotle argues that the best form of government is a polity, which is a mixture of democracy and oligarchy. He believed that this form of government would be the most stable and just, as it would allow for a broad range of people to have a say in government while also preventing the excesses of pure democracy or oligarchy. Aristotle believed that the purpose of government was to promote the common good and that the best way to do this was through the cultivation of virtue in citizens. He argued that a virtual citizenry would be able to create and sustain a just society. One of Aristotle's most important contributions to political theory was his concept of natural law. According to Aristotle, natural law is a set of universal principles that are inherent in human nature and that guide human behavior. These principles can be discovered through reason and observation, and they provide a basis for the ethical and political decision making. Aristotle also believed in the importance of the rule of law, and he argued that the laws should be based on reason and the common good rather than the arbitrary whims of the rulers. He emphasized the importance of checks and balances in government, and he believed that the best form of government was one in which power was distributed among different branches and levels of government. Overall, Aristotle's political thought is characterized by a belief in the importance of virtue, natural law, and the rule of law. His ideas have had a significant impact on Western political thought, and his concept of polity continues to be studied and debated today. Third Western political thoughts figure is Machiavelli. Niccolo Machiavelli was an Italian philosopher, historian, and writer who lived from 1469 to 1527. His most famous work, The Prince, is considered one of the most influential works of political philosophy ever written. Machiavelli believed that politics was a game of power and that rulers should be willing to do whatever it takes to maintain their power. He argued that rulers should not be bound by moral or ethical considerations but should instead be guided by the principle of the ends of justify the means. According to Machiavelli, a ruler should be willing to use deceit, violence, and even cruelty if it is necessary to achieve his goals. एक्चुअली यहाँ पे मैकियावली उस दौर की बात कर रहा है जब पूरा यूरोप जो है वो सिविल वॉर और खाना जंगी से जर रहा था और गवर्नमेंट जो है वो स्टेबल नहीं थी और जो किंग्स थे वहाँ पे चर्च का बहुत अमल दखल था, इसलिए वो इस बात में बिलीव करता था कि अगर स्टेबल लेके चलना है और जो स्टेट की सिक्योरिटी को और सॉवरेंटी को जो है मद्देनज़र रखना है तो एक जो किंग या रूलर है उसको जो है ना सख्त से सख्त मामलात भी इख्तियार करना चाहिए स्टेट को बचाने के लिए. In The Prince, Machiavelli emphasizes the importance of effective leadership and the need for rulers to be both feared and loved by their subjects. He also argues that a ruler must be willing to be ruthless when necessary, but must also be careful not to provoke the people to rebellion. वो कहता है कि उसको सख्त होना चाहिए, बहुत जालम टाइप होना चाहिए अपने पावर को सस्टेन रखने के लिए, लेकिन ऐसा भी ना करे कि वो लोग उसके खिलाफ निकल आएँ, बगावत हो जाए. So Machiavelli's ideas were controversial in his time and continue to be controversial today. Some have accused him of promoting tyranny and morality, while others have argued that he was simply a realist who recognized the harsh realities of politics. Despite the controversy surrounding his ideas, Machiavelli's influence on political philosophy has been profound. His emphasis on effective leadership, the use of power, and the importance of the state continues to be studied and debated today. Fourth Western political figure is Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes, 1588 to 1679, was an English philosopher and political theorist who is best known for his work Leviathan, in which he presented his ideas on political philosophy and the nature of the state. Hobbes believed that human beings were naturally selfish and driven by a desire for power and self preservation. He argued that in a state of nature, without the constraints of law and government, people would be in a constant state of war with one another. एक्चुअली थॉमस हॉब जो है वो 1588 से 1689 तक इसका जो टाइम था इंग्लिश फिलोसफर था और इसने लेविथन के नाम से एक बुक लिखी थी जिसमें उसने अपनी पॉलिटिकल फिलॉसफी को पेश किया. वो ये यकीन रखता था कि इंसान खुदगर्ज है फितरती तौर पर और हमेशा ताकत के लिए और अपने मामलात के लिए वो एथिक्स की हद को अबूर करता है. तो इसलिए स्टेट ऑफ नेचर में भी गवर्नमेंट को ऐसा चाहिए कि वो इन लोगों को जो है ना वो तरह खींच के रखे. तो दैट इज़ द फिलॉसफी ऑफ थॉमस हॉब्स. फर्दर एक्सप्लेन करते हैं इसको. To avoid this state of war, Hobbes believed that people needed to surrender their individual rights and freedoms to a strong central authority or leviathan in exchange for protection and security. यानी अपनी तहफ़्फ़ुज़ अपने जानो माल के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के इवज़ उसको चाहिए कि वो अपनी जो है सारी जो मामलात हैं वो स्टेट के सामने सरेंडर कर दे. यानी ये सेंट्रलाइजेशन की बात करता है, स्टेट अथॉरिटेरियन स्टेट्स की बात करता है. So according to Hobbes, the role of the state was to maintain order and prevent individuals from acting on their base desires and impulses. Hobbes also believed in the importance of the social contract, which he argued was the basis of political authority. According to Hobbes, individuals in a state of nature would come together to form a social contract, agreeing to surrender their individual rights and freedoms to the state in exchange for protection and security. Hobbes' ideas on the nature of the state and the social contract have had a lasting impact on Western political thought. His work influenced later philosophers such as John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and his ideas on the need for a strong central authority continue to be debated in the contemporary political discourse. Next political Western political thoughts figure is John Locke. Uh, he was born in 1632 and died on 1704. Was an English philosopher and political theorist who is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in the development of modern liberalism. Locke believed that individuals had natural rights to life, liberty, and property, and that the role of government was to protect these rights. He argued that government should be based on the consent of the governed and that individuals had the right to overthrow a government that failed to protect their natural rights. अगर आप वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट की बात करें उन वहाँ फ़िलासफ़र्स की बात करें तो ये पहला फ़िलासफ़र था जो बेसिकली लिबरलिज़म की बात करता था, जो बात करता था ह्यूमन राइट्स की, लोगों के हकूक़ की, और बेसिकली सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की बात करता था स्टेट और लोगों के दरमियान. Let's see. Locke also believed in the importance of a social contract, which he argued was the basis of political authority. According to Locke, individuals in a state of nature would come together to form a social contract, agreeing to surrender some of their individual rights and freedoms to the state in the exchange of protection and security. Locke's ideas on natural rights and the social contract had a significant impact on the development of political thought and the concept of individual freedom. His ideas also influenced the founding of the United States, particularly the drafting of the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. तो इसका जो इसकी जो पॉलिटिकल फ़िलासफ़ी है उसका अगर हम अमली मुजाहरा देखें तो वो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के बनने में है, और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का जो इंडिपेंडेंस डिक्लेरेशन है, उसका स्टेट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, उसमें इसके पॉलिटिकल थॉट्स हमें नज़र आते हैं. इसके बाद है रोसो. जीन जैक्वेस रोसो 1712 to 1778 was a French philosopher, writer, and political theorist who is best known for his work, The Social Contract, in which he presented his ideas on political philosophy and the nature of the state. Basically, also believed that individuals were naturally good and that it was society that corrupted them. तो ये बिलीव करता है कि हर बंदा फितरी तौर पे अच्छा होता है, माशरा या माहौल या कल्चर उसको उस तरफ ले जाता है, करप्ट माइंडेड कर देता है. ही आर्ग्यूड दैट इन अ स्टेट ऑफ नेचर विदाउट द कंस्ट्रेंट्स ऑफ सोसाइटी पीपल वर फ्री एंड इक्वल. बिल्कुल सही कह रहा है वो. अगर कंस्ट्रेंट्स ऑफ सोसाइटी ना हो तो सब लोग बराबर हैं और फ्री हैं. टू अवॉइड द नेगेटिव इफेक्ट्स of society and pressure individual freedom, also believed that individuals needed to come together to form a social contract, agreeing to surrender some of their individual rights and freedoms to the community as a whole. According to Rousseau, the role of the state was to protect the general will of people, which he believed was the true source of political authority. Rousseau also believed in the importance of education, arguing that individuals needed to be educated in order to become responsible citizens and to contribute to the common good. Rousseau's ideas on the social contract and the importance of individual freedom and education had a significant impact on the development of political thought, particularly during the Enlightenment period. His ideas also influenced the development of democratic theory and continue to be debated in contemporary political discourse. Next is Karl Marx, Marxism. Marxism is a political and economic theory developed by the German philosopher and economist Karl Marx 1818 to 1883 and his collaborator Frederick Engels 1820 to 1895. Marxism is based on the idea that history is shaped by class struggle and that the working class or proletariat should overthrow the ruling class or bourgeois. Here you can say वो बात करता है कि दो तरह की क्लास है, एक वर्किंग क्लास है, एक एलीट क्लास है, टू क्रिएट अ क्लासलेस सोसाइटी. एक्चुअली मार्क्सिज्म वाज अ स्ट्रगल to develop a society, classless society. So Marx argued that capitalism was an exploitative system in which the bourgeois controlled the means of, यानी elite जो है वो controlled the means of production and exploited the working class to generate profit. He believed that the inherent contradictions within capitalism would eventually lead to its downfall and the emergence of a सोशलिस्ट सोसाइटी. तो ये थोड़ा सा कोविड में हमने देखा, या कोई भी जब भी वर्ल्ड लेवल पे, ग्लोबल लेवल पे कोई ऐसे रिसेशंस आते हैं तो कैपिटलिज्म फेल हो जाता है। कोविड में भी देखा आपने, कैपिटलिज्म की वजह से लोगों ने जो है ना वो ज़हीर-अंदोज़ी कर ली, अपनी अपनी चीज़ें इन्वेस्टमेंट्स रोक ली थी। तो इससे पूरा सिस्टम जो है ना वो गरीब गरीब से गरीब तर, अमीर अमीर से अमीर तर होता जा रहा है। Marxism also emphasizes the importance of materialism, the idea that economic and material conditions shape social and political institutions. Marx argued that the state was a tool of the ruling class and that true democracy could only be achieved through the abolition of private property and the establishment of a socialist state. Marxism has had a significant impact on political thought and practice, particularly in the 20th century. Marxist ideas have influenced the development of socialist and communist movements, as well as labor and social justice movements around the world. However, इसमें आप एग्जांपल के तौर पे रशियन रेवोल्यूशन को भी ले सकते हैं. However, the implementation of Marxist principle in practice has been controversial and often associated with authoritarianism and repression. आप आज भी रशिया में और थोड़ा सा चाइना में इस चीज़ को अमली तौर पर देख सकते हैं। वहाँ पर जो है क्लासलेस सोसाइटी की बजाय स्टेट इतनी अथॉरिटेरियन कर दी गई है कि वहाँ पे ह्यूमंस के इंडिविजुअल राइट्स भी दब जाते हैं। बाय द वे ये सब तो थोड़ा बहुत सब में प्रॉब्लम्स हैं ही। देन व्लादिमीर लेनिन, लेनिनिज्म हम कहते हैं इसे। लेनिनिज्म इज़ अ पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी डेवलप्ड बाय रशियन रेवोल्यूशनरी एंड पॉलिटिकल politician Vladimir Lenin 1870 to 1924, who was a key figure in the Bolshevik party and the leader of the Russian Revolution in 1917, Russian Revolution या Bolshevik Revolution. So Leninism builds on the ideas of Marxism, as I told you in a previous पेज मैंने वो बताया था कि मार्क्सिज्म जो अमली तौर पर अगर आप देखें तो वो रशियन रेवोल्यूशन, बोल्शेविक रेवोल्यूशन एंड इज ऑफन सीन एज ए डेवलपमेंट ऑफ मार्क्सिस्ट theory. Leninism emphasizes the importance of a revolutionary vanguard party which is made up of professional revolutionaries who are committed to the cause of the proletariat yani working class. According to Leninism, the vanguard party must lead the revolution and seize state power in order to establish a socialist state. और इसने वहाँ से बादशाहत ख़त्म की रशिया से 1917 में 1917 में. Lenin believed that the capitalism was in a stage of advanced imperialism. और वो कहता है कि ये जो कैपिटलिज्म है ये आस्ता आस्ता इम्पेरियलिज्म की तरफ ले जाता है, यानी जैसे पहले बरतानिया हिंदुस्तान पे काबज़ था तो अब ये भी एक सिस्टम है सॉफ्टवेयर में जब वो आपको कंट्रोल कर लेते हैं. जैसे थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज़ जो हैं वो कैपिटलिस्ट जो ग्लोबल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं IMF या वर्ल्ड बैंक की हद से उनके अंडर या बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं जो इम्पेडिमेंट्स करते हैं, जैसे फैटफ है. तो वो ये कैपिटलिज्म जो है ना आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कंट्रोल करता है, इम्पीरियलिज्म की तरफ लाता है. वेयर द कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ एंड पावर हैड रीच्ड अ पॉइंट वेयर द रूलिंग क्लास हैड अ स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड ऑन सोसाइटी. तो ऐसा होता है इंटरनली, जैसे पाकिस्तान में आप देखें चंद लोगों के पास ही सारा सरमाया जमा हो जाता है. और इसी तरह इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर भी लेनिन ये बिलीव करता है. ही आर्ग्यूड दैट दिस necessitated the use of violent revolution to overthrow the ruling class and establish a socialist स्टेट. तो वो कहता है कि चाहे वायलेंट ही हो, यानी कि थोड़ा सा जो है ना वो इसमें तबाही टाइप हो, डिस्ट्रक्टिव हो, लेकिन ये रेवोल्यूशन आना चाहिए. Leninism also emphasizes the importance of a planned economy where the state controls the means of production and directs economic activity in the interests of the working class. Russia is seen as necessary to overcome the inherent contradictions of capitalism and to achieve the goal of a classless society. So his struggle was also based on the Marxism, which is actually to make a classless society. Leninism has had a significant impact on political thought and practice, particularly in the 20th century. Lenin's ideas have influenced the development of socialist and communist movements as well as the establishment of socialist states around the world. However, the implementation of Leninist principles in practice has been controversial and often associated with the authoritarianism and repression. Mao Zedong, Maoism, China. Maoism is a political theory developed by Chinese communist leader Mao Zedong, 1893 to 1976, who led the Communist Party of China to victory in the Chinese Civil War and founded the People's Republic of China. PRC in 1949. Maoism is based on the principles of Marxism, Leninism, but emphasizes the importance of the peasantry and revolutionary struggle. So basically, तो मार्क्सिज्म और लेनिज्म के ही प्रिंसिपल्स असूलों पर है, लेकिन इसमें अहमियत जो है ना peasantry and revolutionary struggle को ज़्यादा वैल्यू दी गई. Mao believed that the peasantry rather than the proletariat, यानी यहाँ पे वो वर्किंग क्लास की नहीं peasantry की बात कर रहा है, where the key revolutionary class in China, and that the revolution would need to be led by a vanguard party that was firmly rooted in the countryside. Maoism also emphasizes the importance of mass mobilization and use of the revolutionary. वो हामी था अवाम के बड़ी अवामी उसके निकलने में और उससे रेवोल्यूशन लाने में चेंज, वो रेडिकल चेंज हम कह सकते हैं. वायलेंस टू बी अचीव पॉलिटिकल गोल्स, तो वायलेंस की हद तक भी वो जाना बिलीव करते थे पॉलिटिकल गोल्स अचीव करने के लिए. तो मोए प्लेसेस अ स्ट्रॉन्ग एम्फोसिस ऑन सेल्फ रिलायंस एंड सेल्फ सफिशेंसी, और यही चाइना में उसने बेस किया और आज चाइना काफ़ी हद तक उसकी इस थीरी पे अच्छा है. एंड मोए आर्ग्यूड दैट चाइना शुड परस्यू अ पॉलिसी ऑफ सोशलिस्ट कंस्ट्रक्शन that emphasized agricultural development and the establishment of rural communes. Moy also emphasizes the importance of ideological purity and the need to constantly struggle against revisionism and counter-revolutionary forces. Moya has had a significant impact on political thought and practices, particularly in China and other countries in the developing world. Moya ideas have influenced revolutionary movements and armed struggles around the world, and Moye continues to be an influential political ideology in some parts of the world today. However, the implementation of Moye's principles in practice has been controversial and often associated with authoritarianism, human rights abuses, and economic stability. Thank you for listening. We have completed the first portion of this topic, Western political thought. In next video, we will discuss the Muslim political thought. Okay, Allah Hafiz. मिलते हैं.